Good morning, Newport Town Times on July 20th, 2021. And we have Justine Fafara here, who is the librarian at Richard Street Library, who replaced Andrea, who retired after many, many years of service. And Justine's going to bring us up to date on the library reopening and everything going on there. And Justine, it's all yours.
All right. Hi, everybody. Like I was just introduced, I'm Justine Fafara. I have been at the Richards Free Library for just about a year now. I started as the assistant director, and then when Andrea retired in March, I took over as library director. And it's been a wild ride with all of the COVID things happening, right? So the library is now fully reopened, which is a wonderful thing. We're open our pre-COVID hours, and we've actually added another evening. So we're open 3 evenings a week now, which is wonderful. We've had some other staffing changes as well. So we have a new assistant director. Her name is Sally Bernier, and she came to us from Georgetown, Texas. She's originally from Maine, so this was like her coming home. She's very excited to be back in New England, and is already fitting in wonderfully with the rest of the team and making some great changes. So things are rocking and rolling at the library. You may have noticed some construction on the front of the building. The sill on the front of the original building was rotting. The building was sinking. It was a little scary. So thankfully we've gotten that replaced. And we got a lovely new porch out of that work as well. So you may notice some rocking chairs on the front porch now. Please feel free to use these. You are welcome to sit out on the front porch. We know we don't have a lot of furniture yet inside the building, but you're more than welcome to sit out on the porch during these lovely days while we can. We've also, our big projects right now in the library, we've gotten 2 grants. So the first one is a partnership grant from the New Hampshire State Library and ARPA. And that grant was to help us with the porch furniture, so those rocking chairs. We're also getting a little like patio style table and chairs so you can work on your laptop on the front porch. And then the tent, you may notice our lovely large white event tent on the side lawn. That's where we're doing all of our summer programming. So the grant helped us afford that tent, which we actually split the cost of that tent with the Library Arts Center, and it's been wonderful. We've both been getting great use out of that. And it's made these rainy days a little more bearable. We've been able to still sit outside and do some arts and crafts, and the Library Arts Center has been doing yoga, all sorts of fun stuff happening under the tent. And that grant also got us a little red wagon for Miss Mo so that she can take all of her story time stuff over to the farmers markets on Fridays and do story times on the common. So that's been wonderful. She is very happy to not have to juggle books and blankets and all of her stuff to go over to the common. So that's been fun. And then we got another grant from the New Hampshire Charitable Foundation. And this grant is to help us get some new books in the kids' nonfiction section. That section's been a little outdated, so we need to get some new books because things change so quickly, like endangered animals. We need some new books. Climate change, we need some new books. All that kind of stuff. So we're really excited to kind of revamp that collection and make it a little more up to date. So next month, August, I can't believe it's already the end of July. I don't know where the year has gone. Unfortunately, the Friends of the Library will not be having their book sale next month. So if you call the library and ask about donating books, we will unfortunately say no. Our storage is overflowing with books right now. But we are having our Hale Award to honor Cy Montgomery, who is mostly a nonfiction writer, and she writes children's nonfiction and adult nonfiction. And she'll be coming up to do an event on August 7th, the first Saturday in August. And the event is free. You're welcome to come. It'll be under our big white tent on the side lawn. So you're welcome to come and hear her speak and watch her get her fancy Sarah Josepha Hale Award. And then I just wanted to talk about some of the things we do at the library all the time that we've brought back, or maybe we never stopped doing them, we just did them virtually during the pandemic. So it is, of course, summer. Our summer reading program is going strong. We have, I think, 50 or 60 kids registered for the summer reading program. We have great programs happening. We had like a zoo animal program to kick off. So Squam Lake brought some cool animals to the library, and it was very fun. Our new assistant director, Sally, is terrified of snakes, and they brought a snake, and of course that was the one moment she looked out her window. But that's how it goes. Thankfully none of the kids were afraid of snakes. And then we have some crafts. We have story time, of course, is now hybrid. So Miss Mo is doing story time in person. You're welcome to come sit under the tent with her on Wednesday mornings. And then she's also still streaming them. So if you can't make it to the library, you're welcome to watch them on Facebook Live. Our book club, we have one of our book clubs meeting. They met virtually all through the pandemic, and now they're also doing a hybrid model. So they are meeting at the library, but they're still Zooming on a laptop. So if someone can't come to the library, if someone's not comfortable coming yet, or if someone lives too far away, we have a couple members who just don't live close to us, so they can still join the discussion. That's been great. Let's see, our knitting group is now meeting in person, as well as our poetry groups. So if you have any interest in either of those groups, you're welcome to contact us for more information. All of our groups are open to the public. So if you are interested in joining the poetry group, the knitting group, or the book club, all you have to do is call us at the library and ask for some more information. The Friends of the Library have restarted their first Mondays. This is such a cool thing that I had never heard of until I came to Richard's Free here at Newport. So the Friends have this wonderful tradition of meeting the first Monday of the month at the library and just doing whatever project we need their help with. So they have helped us get ready for summer reading. They did lots of brochure folding and packet putting together for us. They help us shelf read to make sure the books on all the shelves are in order, and kind of whatever else we ask them to do. It's been really wonderful, and that is a tradition Andrea started that I'm very happy to continue. It's been so helpful to have this group of people ready and willing to just do whatever we need to ask of them. And the Friends are always looking for more members. So if that is something you're interested in, definitely get in touch with us at the library and we'll point you in the right direction. And then the last thing is something we started right before the pandemic, and so it didn't really get as much attention as we had hoped it would, and that is our Library of Things. So this, as opposed to books or movies or audiobooks, is a collection of things. We have cake pans, we have board games, we have skis and snowshoes, we have all kinds of fun things. We have a telescope. It's just a really great assortment of things. So next time you're in the library, definitely check that out. Feel free to ask us where it is if you can't find it right away. And we do have some stuff in the back that just doesn't fit out on our display. But there is a binder on the display of everything that we have to offer in that collection. And it's just such a fun collection. We can't wait to grow it a little more. We'd love to get some fishing poles and some more summery things. We did a lot of wintry things. But we're excited to help that collection grow. I think that might be everything I have to talk to you about.
So these snowshoes and
Yeah.
whatever, are those for takeout?
Yeah,
or-
yep. You just have to come in with your library card, and you can borrow snowshoes, skis, cake pans, whatever you need.
Wow,
Yeah, it's kind of fun.
neat. Alrighty, well, thank you very much
Yes,
for that.
I feel like I sped right through that. Hopefully it wasn't too fast.
No, that's fine, that's fine.
Yeah.
Susan tells us that we don't have to fill the full hour, so
Oh,
that's good
good.
news. So Larry, do you have
Sure.
some museum stuff?
Yeah, last night the board of directors for the Newport Historical Society met, and we decided to reopen the museum starting August 8th. It'll be open every Sunday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Excepting for holiday weekends. And sometimes we have docents that have nothing better to do, and they would decide to come down and open. So sporadically, it could be open on Sundays of holiday weekends. But we're pretty excited about reopening. It's been a long haul. It's been, what, 14, 15 months?
Gosh, it feels like
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah.
Yes.
We have had a lot of requests for opening the museum, so that's going to be fun. The displays are pretty much as they were 14, 15 months ago, with some upgrades. We will be changing them in September. So I think you'll find it interesting. We have had a number of really nice donations of artifacts over the duration of the pandemic. The Lee family, John Lee's family, donated a large volume of information on John Lee. He was our first veteran that died in Vietnam, and we get the information that is just incredible. It's up in the library. You can look the book over. It's got like his high school pictures, his college pictures in there. It's got a ton of information on the various schools that he went to in the Army, and when he was over in Vietnam, he took a lot of pictures of local people and whatnot, and it's a very interesting display of artifacts from the Vietnam War era. Another one that we received was there was a captain in the Navy. His name was Norman Gage, and he graduated from this school in 1929.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
And he went on, I believe he went to UNH, and then he went to the Naval Academy. And his daughter, Ann Gage, Jackie and I used to ride at Wilcox Riding Stable back in the 60s. And she would come down with her horse, Wildfire, and we recently reconnected through the help of Mary Lou McGuire at the Richards Free Library. Anne had contacted the library about donating her father's artifacts, and Mary Lou thought it fit better with the Historical Society, and we greatly appreciate that. And it's a wide range of items from the family. His relatives, I guess, were the what was the
Bigfoot?
Bickfords, and they had a home on Unity Road. I believe Norman's family lived in what was the old schoolhouse up on almost across from the Bickford's farm, and so it was nice to reconnect with somebody from that long ago. And the artifacts again are incredible. It's he was a submarine commander during the Second World War over in the Pacific Ocean, and I can't imagine the stories he would have had to tell about that. He was the commander at the submarine station in Rhode Island, and so he's had a number of important posts. He has since passed, and it's just a great collection. I can't wait for us to do a display on military artifacts, so we can use a lot of the things that we got from that family. There's been a lot of other ones. Ellen, she, a lady from from Maine that is third. She's a granddaughter 3 times removed from Austin Corbin, and her family was the Edgels, and she has donated over the years a number of different donations, and this summer she brought down a tote full of family pictures, and a lot of them are she wrote on the back who they were, so that's pretty interesting. Again, that'll make a nice display when we do something on family like that, or we can, put them in with, like the bedroom display. We can put some of those photographs in, and I think it'll be interesting. We did recently purchase a couple of books in the bedroom display. We've got a little sub-display of Sarah Josepha Hale, and we just recently got a ladies magazine from 1828, which would be like the first year that she went down to Boston, and the book's in incredible shape. And we also purchased White Veil. It's a book that Sarah edited about like preparing a lady for marriage, the do's and don'ts and all that kind of stuff. And I haven't really looked the book over, but it's in pretty good shape. And I think you'll find that interesting. Another little change we've done to the museum is in the bedroom again, we placed some linens that had once belonged to the Champollion family. And again, that's related to the Austin Corbin. Renee Champollion married Austin Corbin's oldest daughter, Mary. And his grandfather was the Napoleon that deciphered the Rosetta Stone with Napoleon when they were in Egypt. So there's a lot of history there in that family. And I think it's interesting to see some of the linens that they had. That's some of the other displays, we still have the display up for the Corbin Covered Bridge, and I think you'll find that pretty interesting. The kitchen display again is set up as if it was a soda fountain with artifacts and some pictures from Newport soda fountains that were on Main Street, and it's crazy looking at the menus and the prices. I mean, it's just, it's hard for us to comprehend that, that you could get a piece of pie and a cup of coffee for 10 cents, It just, it's pretty foreign for us today. And I think that's about all I have.
All righty. So I want to tell you a little bit about a new book that the Historical Society is going to have shortly. It's The Diary of Charles Emerson, Newport native who went around the South America on the Staffordshire, it was a clipper ship, and to the San Francisco in the Gold Rush era. And so it's the Diary of Charles Emerson with commentary on the life and times of a Newport native turned Argonaut. And the book will not have a spiral spine. This was a, I don't know, I guess you might want to call it sort of a proof copy that New London Copy Center did for Jana Hooper, who, the diary is in here in its complete form, but Jana has done her usual magic and taken bits and pieces of it and has footnotes and so forth, just giving you a lot of history of the time and so forth. and it will be in color. There are some color photographs in the book, quite a few in fact. And it'll be this size, and it will have a perfect binding rather than the spiral binding. And Jana's going to drop off the flash drive to me this morning at 9 o'clock, and I will get it right over to Doolittle's. So we're gonna have 100 copies printed initially, and they will be $25. Printing costs have gone up a lot in the last 2 or 3 years. Some of it, I think, due to the pandemic, and some of it, I think, just a normal cost increase. But the book has 116 pages, and it's a terrific read. So that's something new that you can look forward to. We will also have a limited presence at the Apple Pie Craft Fair. Chris Hagerbush, one of our board members, has purchased a small table space, and what she will be doing is just kind of trying to establish interest in visiting the museum. And her husband Jerry will actually be down at the museum that day, and she'll have a little map so that people that may not be familiar with the area or don't know where the museum is will direct them to the museum, where they can have a tour. And we also have our little gift shop with a lot of stuff still. And in addition to that, this book and the 19 Covered Bridges of Newport book that we had for the Corbin Festival, people will be able to buy those there. And let's see, what else? We're working on the July newsletter, hoping to be able to have this book ready to photograph, to have a picture in the newsletter so people can see what it looks like. And for those of you who are not members, members get the newsletter mailed to them automatically, 4 issues that we have, 4 quarterly issues. If you're not a member and you're curious, you can pick up a copy at the Sugar River Bank in the entryway to the right. And this new newsletter, when it's out, will be on yellow stock. So it's either white or yellow, we alternate. So right now there's a few of the white ones left, but the new one will be yellow. And our membership drive will be occurring beginning in September, and we hope to attract some new people, and all of our current members, we hope that they will renew. We're just not doing a lot of off-site selling of our stuff. It's just, I mean, Larry and I are over 75, and Chris and Jerry used to help out, and they're in the same boat. It's just too much lugging. So anything can be purchased at the museum. And so that's it for the Historical Society. As far as COVID goes, I checked the map this morning, and Newport is still in the 1 to 4 category. Actually, Sullivan County has 4 active cases, split between Claremont and Newport. We're both 1 to 4. So each town has less than 4, but some configuration that would add up to 4 for the 2 towns combined, if you understand what I'm trying to tell you. So that's still ongoing. The airport, there was a concert on August 17th in the old hangar, and I hope they had good turnout for that. It was a group from Maine. August 17th, there's going to be a second concert that I believe is going to be up in the little park by the Corbin Bridge. And if anyone's interested in the musical group and getting tickets, you can go on the Newport Opera House, the NOAA, N-O-H-A website, and find out how to get tickets for that and about it. It's my understanding that in September there will be fireworks at the airport. We do meet tonight, so I'll have more information on that when we meet again for Town Times. The airport also has 5 campsites. So if you're familiar with the asphalt runway, it's on the other side of that along the tree line near the river. And there are fire rings or fire pits and tables, and typically on weekends they're full. It's become very popular. And the ops building has several bicycles available, so any of the people that are camping there, if they want to go into town, which is just a short, pretty flat ride, they can borrow the bicycles to get in. And that is pretty much all I have.
Can I,
Absolutely.
on the newsletters, if you go to www.newportnhhistory.org, all of the past newsletters dating back to 2007 are on there. And so you can see the past or even the current newsletters if you're not a member. And there's a lot of history. We've tried to put at least a historical article in each newsletter about somebody from Newport that's done something, or buildings and that kind of sort of thing. Talking about Jana's latest book, like Jackie said, she puts the diary in there verbatim. But the magic in Jana's research is really in her footnotes. Like there was a passage in the diary saying that he had seen a Mexican hung. Well, it didn't tell you a whole lot. She goes in and does the research, and she finds out who he was and what he did to get himself hung. And that's the kind of research that she does. And the preface in there, she talks about other people from Newport that had gone to California to the gold rush days before Mr. Emerson did. And then in the end of the book, she's got a little story about a ship that was going to California, and they were somewhere off the Mexican coast, and they ran into a boulder. They were too close to the shore, and she talks about that, which is referenced in the diary that he just mentions that they had lost the ship, and so she goes in and tells you. But it's just incredible, the research that she does, and to me that's the story in itself is pretty interesting, but the gold to me is really the research that she puts in to explain things. And she'll explain, she'll give you an insight, like they talk about different things in the diary about the sails of the ship and that kind of stuff, and she'll has a diagram, and she labels the different parts of the sail, so it kind of gives you the full story so you can understand what they're talking about. And it's the story in itself is just incredible. I mean, they take off in 1852 from Boston, and at the time the Staffordshire was the fastest. They had different names for it. Clipper ship, they called them packet ships, and there's different names that they call it, but they talk about they're sailing along, and all of a sudden they have run into the doldrums where there's no air, no wind, so they sit there for days, and it just it's hard for us to really comprehend. I mean, if we take a sailing ship, if we take a ship today, it's powered, and you don't have to worry about not having the wind and that kind of thing. So it gives you a whole different concept of travel back then, and I highly recommend the book.
So this is a picture of the Staffordshire, and you can see all the sails. I mean, it's unbelievable. And I have to tell you, this picture will not be in the final book because Jana could not get, she was not able to locate the person who had just bought this painting, to get permission to use it. It's still in the public domain, so
It's not in the public.
Yes, exactly, it's not in the public, thank you. It's not in the public domain, but this is what it looks like. But there is, again, further in the book, as Larry said, there is a diagram of the ship with the sails and what sail does what and so forth. And I don't know who figured all this out way back when, but if it was up to me, we'd still be in the caves. So, anyway, I'm very excited about the book. Get it printed and available. Other than the Covered Bridge book, it's been a while since we've had books, and I think that's one of the areas, we talked about it last night at the board meeting, that we want to do more with historical publications on the history of Newport. I think one that would be extremely interesting is the North Newport area, where the new bridge is that replaced the Green Bridge. That whole section there was just full of different manufacturing facilities, sawmills, the Sye factory, which Sibley Sye factory, and those size were used when they were clearing land for the Panama Canal. So, I mean, the sawmills and a bobbin factory and a whole lot more, but there's just a lot of history in that area, so that's something we've all kind of been thinking about. So.
And when you look at the 1860 map of Newport, the section in North Newport, they have a little exploded view of it, and they list a lot of the factories. I mean, they made clothespins, rakes, you know, and they made all kinds of things that, you know, today are made in God knows where, and we just bring them in and, you know, you have them in a box store. Well, they'd make rakes, and in downtown Newport there'd be a store, and that's kind of the thing that they sold, was rakes. And there were more stores, and they employed more people, because each store would have, you know, 3 or 4 employees, where today you have a box store and they may have 25 employees. But when you look at all the various things that they have at a box store, if they were individual stores, they would employ a lot more people, and it'd be a lot more personal service. But interesting things like things that I never thought about, like they made shoe pegs, and you know, they were about 1/8 inch in diameter and somewhere between 3/16 and 1/4 inch long, and they had the end had a sharp edge on the end, a tapered edge, and that's how they kept the heels on it, because they didn't have the sewing machines that they had in later years that could sew through the heavy leather and all today the glues and that kind of things that we have. So that's how they held them in place. It's just, but that map is just incredible to see all the industry that was up in North Newport. It's just, it's quite an eye-opener.
So that's it. I can't tell you who's going to be here for the next Town Times. I am still searching, but we'll find somebody. If not, we'll fill it in with the history of Newport. So thank you for watching. And oh, one thing that I want to talk to you about. There's been some criticism, I guess I'm going to say, on Facebook, on the 2 new Newport Facebook pages, about the schoolhouse in North Newport being torn down. And I believe from what Susan Dutton tells us, is the lady behind the video camera. You can't see her, but we thank her for her services every time we meet. But anyway, the gentleman that's doing the construction, I guess, went on Facebook to give a little bit of information as to why. But I just want to reiterate, because Larry and I have been in the schoolhouse twice, and the inside is nothing like a schoolhouse, or the schoolhouse way back. It was made into a residence, and the floors are kind of like this, and he cut out a section of the floor, and so you can pull back the piece of wood that's on top of it and look down in, and it's pretty much sitting on dirt. And some of the cross members are rotting, which is why you've got the wavy thing in the floor. And it's just, when Katie Burns purchased it, pretty much sight unseen, you know, she could look through the windows and see what it was like. She hadn't been inside. And, you know, her original plan was to, you know, redo the inside for her, you know, how she wanted the inside to be. But it's been since determined, as the contractor said, that it really is not cost-effective and really salvageable. So what's going to happen is they're not going to bulldoze it. It's going to be dismantled. He's going to save as many of the beams in the old schoolhouse as possible to be reused in the new residence, which will be on the same footprint as what is there now. We've seen the plans, and it will be quite lovely. And it will have the cupola with a bell in it, like the old schoolhouse has. And but I just want people to know that this wasn't a quick decision of just, you know, we're going to tear the thing down. There really wasn't anything inside that was like, you know, the original schoolhouse. So I think people need to be patient, and they need to be respectful of the person who purchased it, and see what transpires. I think it will be quite nice.
Yeah. On a side note about the schools, Newport, back in the day, I guess the New Hampshire law were written in such a manner that you had to have a schoolhouse within a certain walking distance of the populace of the area. And Newport they had 19 school districts. I believe only 18 buildings. The 19th one was authorized, but I don't think they ever built a building. And they build these buildings for like $300 or less.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So, you know, they weren't a very substantial building. The foundations were probably just stones that were maybe a foot off the ground, and they may or may not have been pylons underneath it to support the floor, and they were fairly small buildings to begin with. So the buildings weren't real substantial buildings. And going through this one, there was no blackboards, there was no desks, there was nothing to indicate that it was anything other than a house. And we still do have several schools. Obviously, Little Red Schoolhouse on Route 10, that's the most notable one. We have another one on Unity Road. Like I said, that was the Norman Gage House that has had an addition put onto it, and I think a garage, but that has long since been converted to a house, and that's still in existence. There was one at the bottom of Barton Whitney Road that was raised about 2 years ago. It was a little small. The North Newport School, from reading some of the school reports and the old town reports, that was considered, I guess it was the biggest, because he had the center of population pretty close, and they considered it the most important and school. But it's fun to look in the school section, and we've got lesson plans from the 1890s.
Oh my gosh.
Of what they were teaching these kids, and the attendance, and some reports, and it's incredible to. I mean, you can find something for most anybody at the museum.
Even report cards.
Even report cards.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Yeah, and we've got a couple of large books that were donated from the school system from the 20s and 30s, I think up until the 40s, and they've got the whole transcript of these students. And it's so funny because you get somebody that comes up and their parents went to Toll or something like that, you know, and so they'll look up their parents and they'll see all the subject they got and what their grades were, you know, and they'll say, "Well, they gave me all that crap when you know, for the grades I got. Look what they did," you know. So it's kind of fun. So there's a little bit of everything for for everybody at the museum.
How many books are there on the third floor? I say books, binders.
Well,
stuff.
there's over 253 ring binders, and they're either by subject matter or by family. Like, if a family gives me enough information to make an interesting binder, I'll put all that information in there, and it'll be with their name, and it'll be in alphabetical order. If I get 1 or 2 items from this person and 1 or 2 items from that person, I'll put them in a subject book, and obviously it'll be in there by subject matter. And I try to reference where the information came from. Somewhere on there I should have the accession number, so we can bring it back to the family or person that donated the item, and then we can go on the computer and see what other items and that kind of thing. So we do try to tie it in. I'm not so good on the computer in finding these, but if you're computer literate, we can locate the items. I go by memory mostly.
So I think that's
That's
it.
really it.
Yeah, I think that's really it. So anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you found it interesting, and we'll see you the first Tuesday in August, hopefully with a presenter.